Hello everyone and welcome back to AdventuresOfWellUmMe, and today we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 15 for the PlayStation 4 on Gamer Day. I actually have... is it here? No, it's not. I actually have the Royal Edition of this on the PlayStation 4 as well, because I wanted to get the DLC for that, but I wanted to just buy it as a new disc kind of thing. I don't know. It was cheap when I got it, and yeah, I don't know how else to say that. But Final Fantasy 15, I got the collector's edition, deluxe edition that came out in here. Not the one that had the statue of Noctis and the soundtrack and all that. That was like $300-400 or something. Way too expensive. I got the one that came with Kingsglaive as well. So in the steelbook here. I went and saw Kingsglaive at the cinemas and absolutely loved it. And the cool thing about here is on the inside of the case, when I can show you, it's actually got a spot that shows you what each side of the case is for, which I find bizarre, but you've got the Kingsglaive side here and you've got the game side there. It's interesting that they've done that, but it's cool to get the Blu-ray of Kingsglaive. I also have a separate Blu-ray copy of Kingsglaive which came with Brotherhood on disc. And what else do I have? So I've got 2 copies of the game, I've got 2 copies of Kingsglaive. It's just what I did. And this came with the King's Tale bonus game at launch, which then they made free to the public, and that was kind of annoying. Because it was like, cool, you can get this as a, specialty of being a fan of the series and getting the deluxe edition. I mean, I pre-ordered this the day that it was announced, essentially. But the one thing I do love is, as a fan, you get all the signatures of the people that worked on it there. And that's one of those things that I love. It says, thank you for your support. And it's all signed from the Final Fantasy 15 team. Because this game took so long to come out and it went through so many different iterations and changes from the original versus 13 that it was. But Final Fantasy 15 was one of those games that I had been watching since, like, day one of its original announcement as Versus 13. I was so hyped for that, and I was looking, there was this fan website that just listed everything about that game, and I was like checking out like every couple of weeks, like every 2 weeks probably, every 1 week, I don't know, just getting more information. The more information I could, the better it was. And then we found out that it was getting delayed and changed and wasn't going to happen, then coming out as 15, and it was just so many things, emotional roller coaster really, waiting like the 10 years or whatever for it to come out. And that was like so exciting to be able to just get this game and play it. I grew up playing Final Fantasy games, and having this opportunity was amazing. And going and watching the movie at the cinema and then sitting there waiting those last weeks before the game came out. When I got this game, I loved it. I loved it. And I will admit that when the credits rolled for this game at the end, when I'd finished it, I was in tears. I actually got really emotional playing it. I think it was just this build-up of like me waiting all this time for a game to come out. Finally beat the game, and then that music, like the music is just so beautiful, and that's what I love about especially these newer versions of Final Fantasy, where the audio quality can be so much higher than back in the day. Going and having the ability to put as high quality music on there as possible. Even when you think about like the PlayStation 3, as good as the music was on there, you're getting even better now on like these games, and it's just they're being able to put more and more quality into both the graphical side and the audio side, and that's where like music is one of those things, like it just sparks so much emotion. And listening to this, it's one of those things that really just did spark emotion in that way that, you know, just, it was like happy tears. It just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but, you know, it's the power that music can have. And I think that's the main thing that I'm absolutely loving with modern Final Fantasy games, is their ability to put in such amazing scores and such amazing orchestral soundtracks. I remember watching the London Philharmonic Orchestra. They did the live stream of songs from 15 before it came out, and I remember watching that and just falling in love with that music. It's one of those things that it's just hard to explain how much of an emotional impact it has on you when you're so invested in a franchise. And I guess it was the same, like, family and friends being absolutely in love with Harry Potter and the emotions that they felt when they got to the last movie. Like, reading the last book and things like that. You wait all this time for it to come out, and then you just have this emotional experience with the book. It's like that for me, but with these games. I guess some people would have done the same thing with movie franchises and things like Star Wars. I know that's a very controversial one to say at the moment, but there would be people that were just so invested that when something else came out, that they were just so emotional about it. That's how I feel with Final Fantasy games, and Final Fantasy 15 was one of those games. The game is very, very different from previous iterations of the game in terms of the combat style and just general gameplay, and mixing and matching of like the action RPG versus the traditional turn-based RPG, and that is one of the interesting points. I really did enjoy it. I still, like, I'm a massive turn-based RPG fan, but there was something about this game that did open my eyes to the changes that could be made, and that it's okay. Like, you can still enjoy it, and you can still have an experience. It's not 100% action role-playing, but it's not 100% turn-based. It's like this hybrid between it, because you can still issue commands in like a turn-based structure, but you have the action RPG interface in between. And it's exciting. It is easy to get into. It's easier for someone to understand how this type of game works and to enjoy it, as opposed to people that just look at the turn-based structure and find it difficult. It's a new style that's come out, and I'm enjoying it. And they redid that for Final Fantasy VII Remake. They used I think a slightly updated version of the action RPG interface, but yeah, it's interesting. But I love the story in Final Fantasy 15, how it's the prince and his friends, his trusted teachers and friends that are going on an adventure. They've left their city for Noctis's arranged marriage, and in that process, everything just collapses around him. You've got his dad being killed. You've got all these things happening where just the world is changing. There's this empire that is literally trying to take over everything. And as he's left, all this has started happening, and then he's now essentially like a wanted man. And that journey and that struggle that he has to go through with this, you know, it's an arranged marriage type thing, based upon being that he's a prince and royalty and all that. And then this conflict that he faces, and having the loss of his family and his peoples, and just being challenged with all that. I really enjoyed that. Like, it was great seeing the bonding, rather than it being like this super fantastical, you're the hero, you're going to go and do everything. You saw this emotional struggle that he had, because he's just the prince. He's just the boy still, really. He's a young man. But he has to do all these things with the help of his friends and his teachers, and that struggle that he has and how he overcomes it. I enjoyed that. And the boy band comparisons that people made, I just find that funny as well, like just the way that they designed them. But I liked that it was an emotional journey about them bonding as they then go and fight their destiny. And I hate that people complain about, you know, it was this amazing open game and then you get to the end and it's just a corridor kind of thing. And like, you know what? Sometimes they have to push you forward that way. Sometimes it gets put in that way. And I don't care that the powers were stripped away. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole game. There wasn't a single bit that I didn't enjoy. And I think it's silly that people complain about some of those things. I think they look for things to complain for the sake of complaining. It didn't take anything away from me at the end of the game. I still enjoyed it. But, yeah. That's that. I don't know what else I can add. It's a great game. I recommend it. You can buy it for like $15 now. But there's just... I'm a massive advocate for the Final Fantasy franchise, and I absolutely love where it has been, where it's going, and what we could see, you know, just around the corner. I'm looking forward to the next iteration, which will be Final Fantasy VII Remake 2. But yes, until then, have a great day, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. And yeah, take care of yourself. Have a good day. See you next time.